Hello, this is Mike Lodge. I'm glad that you've joined me. I am the business advisor, and we're here to talk about some issues that we need to be aware of. Now, since they have announced that they were going to start forgiving student debt, the scammers are out there. They're waiting for you. They're sending you emails. They're saying if you click on this link, it will take you to a website that will help you get $5,000 to help you pay down. Stay away from them. Do not, if anything comes through to you in an email or through a text message or anything about your student debt, and it's not from the company that handles your student debt, block it, because it's nothing more than a scam. And they're doing about 100,000 of these since they announced it, about 100,000 phone calls, robocalls on this subject a week. That's a lot of people that they're trying to get from. It's worthless because there's no one out there that's going to be able to do that for you. Okay, so just deal with the company that you are using to handle your student debt, and also verify, hey, did this come from you? Did this email come from you? And if they say no, block it. I would just block everything. If it's not from your provider, not from the company that issued you the loan and is handling your student debt loan, don't talk to anybody else. Just talk directly to them because they're the ones that have the answers. Now, the other issue, about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I did a podcast on the employee retention credit, ERC. Well, it's become so rapidly filled with fraud that now the Internal Revenue Service announced that they are going to start looking at the tax preparers who are involved in this, because what they're doing basically is they're taking your payroll reports, amending them, and sending them in because they have promised you $26,000 per employee during that pandemic time that you employed your staff. But the problem is, and I said this before, but it needs to be said again, is that the majority of these companies out there, because it's become an industry now to make you all these promises and then get a fee for filing all these forms that you need to file with the Internal Revenue Service to get this credit. However, they are doing a really bad injustice because now this opens you up to audit, because they fail to tell you that not only do you have to amend your payroll reports, but you also have to go back and amend the tax return, the business tax return that you filed during that period of time. And you have to add back in those credits, and then that becomes income to you. And it also becomes an auditable item because that's what the IRS is going to be looking at now. So I have to tell you that you have to be very cautious about these guys sending you emails. I mean, I probably get about 5, 6, 7 of these emails a week. And not only that, but my clients are getting them. Now, what I did to see if people qualify, because see, the key word here is qualify. There are certain criteria that you have to meet in order to get that $26,000 per employee. However, most of the time, people do not qualify. They don't meet the criteria of what you need to do. But those companies out there filing for you fail to tell you that you did not qualify. I bought a tax software that let me see whether or not if I could qualify any of my clients, and none of my clients have passed the muster. So, but these other companies are filing, and so what happens is that they fail to tell you about that you have to go out and do an amended business return, and that you have to add that credit back into your tax return for that year filing. So that opens up audit points. That makes you, as a business, now you have an auditable trace for the IRS to go back and say, well, let's see whether or not if this company actually qualified. And if you don't qualify, then guess what? the IRS is going to come down on you. Not only that they're going to charge you penalties and fees and other stuff that goes along with it. And then that's going to cost you more money. And if they find out that you now owe on your business tax returns for that pandemic year, you're going to owe corporate business taxes also. So you have to be very careful about who these people are. That's why I always say, go to your tax practitioner to see if he knows anything about the employee retention credit. It's a sticky situation. That's why the Internal Revenue Service put that ERC on hold at the moment, because there's so much fraudulent filings being done by not very good tax practitioners out there. When you deal with the Internal Revenue Service, and I've said this so many times before, you have to make sure that they know what they're doing, because they see fees from you. They don't see that they're really helping you. They're looking at the amount of money that they can make off of you. So just be careful. Ask the questions. And if you're getting those emails to your email account, block them. Block them. Gosh, I have blocked so many because I get them all the time. And also, I see ads on Instagram. I see ads on Facebook. I see ads on Twitter. I see them all over the place. And I even saw it on Megyn Kelly's show that she was advertising for one of these outfits that go out and do this. It's a dirty situation, and it hurts a lot of small businesses out there when they end up owing the Internal Revenue Service when they should not have even filed. Remember, you have to qualify for this. If you don't qualify, it's going to cost you in the end. So the Internal Revenue Service are coming down on tax practitioners who are, let's just say that there's a red flag on the way that they prepare tax returns. So you have to be very, very careful. Now, and then I'm going to go into this next subject, which is right now we're entering into October, which means we have October, November, and December. Right now would be a good time for you as a small business, or even as an individual that has a lot of activity going on, to sit down with your tax practitioner and say, okay, what do we need to do in the next 3 months to correct my tax situation? Okay. You just have to do it. Yeah, you're going to spend some money, but let me tell you, that amount of money is going to be better than you owing so much money at the end of the year, because there are legal tax codes that can help you with this. And if you have a good tax practitioner, they can help you and guide you through this process. And they will also tell you what you can and cannot do. Hopefully they're telling you what you cannot do instead of trying to get a fee out of you for what you cannot do. That is, I tell you, you just have to look at this. Also, if you are looking for a new tax practitioner, a new tax preparer, do your research, do your due diligence, see whether or not if there are any complaints about him. Google up his name. Go if you have a tax board. Let me say this. In California, we have what is called CTEC. And CTEC licenses all of the tax practitioners in California, and they make sure that you have 20 hours of continuing education every single year before you can practice for the next tax year. So, and they monitor everything that you're doing. You have to carry a bond and everything else. If you're in California, all you have to do is look at their website, bring up your tax practitioner's name, and see whether or not if there's any complaints against them. But usually, if you do a Google search on your tax practitioner and you see that there's a lot of complaints, stay away. Find a new tax practitioner. In other words, do your due diligence. I tell you this, I was taught this early on. I was in California, I had a large tax practice. We had about 3,000 tax clients on a yearly basis. So I also, part of my staff, I had tax attorneys, and they represented some of our clients or new clients on tax issues before the Internal Revenue Service. So one day I was doing my due diligence on my staff, and I was making sure checking in with the California Bar Association and making sure that they were in compliance and that there were no complaints against them, that they were not disbarred or anything. So just out of curiosity, I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to check my own personal corporate attorney. So I brought him up on the California State Bar, and what do you know? He had been terminated from the Bar Association, but he had just taken $9,000 from me to represent me on a case. And I thought, he is practicing without a license. And then I looked further, and there was another client of his who had filed a complaint on him also. So here I was in a situation where, doing my due diligence, I found that I had a compliance issue with the state of California, that I was using a non-licensed attorney. So I had to file a disbarment with the state of California, and he was disbarred to practice in California ever again. But you have to do your due diligence, because if you hire individuals like this, they are going to do harm to you and put you in a tax non-compliance situation, or may even be overcharging you. And you have to finalize your due diligence by saying, okay, I found this out. I have to terminate my relationship with him or her. It happens every single day. There are so many unethical individuals out there that are literally hurting their clients by being, well, not the most ethical type of individual out there. So do your due diligence. Make sure that you trust your tax practitioner. Don't get involved in this ERC if you have not been qualified, that you can apply for the ERC credit. It's a tough world out there, isn't it? We never used to have, when I grew up, we never thought about fraud like this on the phone. Of course, we had dial-up phones. Can you imagine if fraudsters had to use a dial-up phone to call every single one of their scam? So listen, maybe we need to go back to this dial-up mode. Gosh, it would take them forever to make any phone calls. So that's my podcast for today. Do your due diligence. Make sure that your tax practitioner is in good standing. Make sure that he's following all the rules of continuing education. You can also go to irs.gov, and they can also guide you through tax practitioners, because everyone is registered with a PIN number, PTIN number, with the Internal Revenue Service. And also from time to time, check the Department of Justice, and you will see stories on there on tax practitioners gone bad. So that's my message today. Listen, if you have any questions, just send me an email at thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. And if you would like to sit down and talk about confidential business issues that you just need to bounce something off of, you can go to my website at www.lodge-co.com. We're almost there to a new tax time. 3 more months. So now it's the time for you to sit down with your tax practitioner and your accountant and see what you need to do to be in compliance with tax codes, and what tax codes you can take advantage of. Your tax practitioner, if they are good, they'll be able to guide you through that. I'll talk with you soon, everybody. Goodbye.